Hi everyone, welcome to Heartbeat Narratives. I am so excited because my friend Taylor is in town. She's visiting Honolulu, and I really wanted to pick her brain about things that she loves. We went to the University of Hawaii together like over 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So it's so good to see you again. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I know this has been on your mind for a while, so I'm very much so excited to participate.
Thanks for just saying yes, being open to this, whatever this is. But yeah, I was wanting to invite you on because I feel like you have an interesting story. You have so many different passions, and I think people will feel uplifted by what you share and what you say. But first of all, where are you from?
Well, thank you for saying all of those kind words. Hopefully everybody feels the same. But I am originally from Chino, California. We had the biggest dairies on the western coast of the United States. But again, I always reference and let people know it was 20 minutes away from Disneyland.
Perfect.
So it was a very rural area growing up, but definitely has changed a lot over the years, and grew up there for 21 years before I moved to Oahu to go to UH. And then from there, after finished school, moved to San Diego, and that's where I've been ever since. So it's been almost 10 years I've been in San Diego, and
Wow.
That's wild. I can't even... It's crazy to think of how much time, has gone by. Yeah.
Totally. I feel like knowing that you come back to Hawaii, that it feels like you're home.
Absolutely.
Here too.
Absolutely. Every time it gets harder and harder to come and to leave. I've never felt at home so much like I do here and in California, sometimes even more so. Mm-hmm. And this recent trip, it was almost like as soon as I'm getting off the plane, it's just like a weight is lifted, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. Like, I'm home. And I always feel it with the people, with all the interactions. It's completely different here. And I've been so lucky that even for the short time that I was here, that I can still call it home. A lot of people don't feel the same way, like if they go somewhere else for school, but for here, absolutely. And I try to, come back and visit as often as I can.
Yeah.
And, having friends here that I can come visit to always makes it even better. And seeing them thrive, since leaving school, and that we can, have been able to continue a long distance friendship too. Mm-hmm. And that's always so hard, but I love it so much.
It's just it feels so normal to see you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's like no time has passed.
Picking up where we left off.
And, occasional phone calls. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you up to? Sometimes us visiting California. But yeah, thanks for giving us that little background. And I feel like you just saying how much Hawaii feels like home is your aloha spirit coming forward. Because you have it. It resonates in you. And when you're back on the aina, back on the land again, it's like you just feel it more deeply.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Taylor, the reason I wanted you to come on was I want to hear what makes you tick, what makes your heart beat, what do you love doing? What is that?
So I actually had a really hard time kind of pinpointing what I wanted to talk about, because I feel like there's so many things that I enjoy doing that bring me a lot of joy just in general. And trying to figure out one specific thing to talk about was really hard. But one thing that kind of kept coming back as I was thinking about different things was how much I enjoy making other people happy. And I know maybe that doesn't always sound great, like people pleasing, but it's not that. It's how my interactions with them bring them joy, whether it's I really love baking. I always have, and that's probably what I'll end up talking about. But just anything that I, can do that brings someone else joy really is what I love. And that has come across through something I've been doing. I've always enjoyed cooking and baking, for other people, and did it all throughout high school. But over the past 8 months, almost a year, I've really gotten into my sourdough journey. I think I was late to the game, after I think COVID, everybody kind of started picking up on just making bread in general. But, it's really been working for me for the past year.
I love that you call it your sourdough journey.
It's a journey. If anybody has ever attempted sourdough or has been successful with it, it is a journey for sure. It is a labor of love. And it's when I talk about the nitty gritty of it with other people, I think, that meme where I think it's from The Hangover when there's like all those math problems.
Yes.
I feel like that's people when they look at me when I'm talking to them about my process of sourdough, because it doesn't make sense. But there's so much that goes into it. But for me, the process that it goes through, and it is very labor intensive, but I love that because from starting it to the end result to giving it to someone, and thankful enough that people are buying these things from me. Like, I'm creating something and people want to buy it. They want to support me. That's what's been wild about this journey too. But that's what brings me joy. Like, seeing how my few days of creating something has such a long-lasting effect. And I know it's just simple as a loaf of bread, but it's created more interactions with other people, and they tell somebody and they're like, oh, I heard this was like really good, like I want to try it, or what's this like? So that's just kind of been my journey with that. But again, the end result is just how it makes someone else feel, and that for me is what I love about the process.
Absolutely. I think back to when we first met and how you were always so like loving and caring towards everybody. You made people feel special in multiple ways, not just through like sharing food, but through little interactions, little text messages. Like, I feel like it's how you radiate, and what it tangibly comes down to is you like sharing your gift, even if it's through gifts, like food.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your business that you started?
Yes. So it's, we're calling it Sweet Tea's Test Kitchen, and it comes from a nickname in high school, Sweet Tea. And again, I would always be baking, and funny enough, I didn't have the biggest sweet tooth growing up. So I had all of these baked goods that we weren't going to eat. And of course, I didn't want it to go to waste. So I would text or call my friends, be like, hey, and they would be coming by late at night. And my mom was like, what are all these people doing here? I'm like, no, they're not saying, they're just coming to pick up cookies. And they like just drive through, and that was it. So that nickname, Sweet Tea, has always stuck. And over the past few years, the test kitchen comes in because I love recipe building. I love just kind of making new things. Like I'll find a recipe, I never stick to it, never have. I always try to make it my own. And also being a vegan baker and vegan myself, trying to recreate things that I grew up with and making them vegan friendly and still having them taste good. I think people also have maybe a negative connotation when it comes to just vegan food. So I think that's another challenge that I've liked to take on, to make something that's still really good, that maybe somebody has a connection with, and recognize like, oh yeah, this is still like great and wonderful. So that test kitchen part comes up for me, testing new recipes and not wanting to waste things. So even though it may not aesthetically be the most like pleasing or look great, it tastes great. So that's kind of how it's developed, and I've stuck with that. So something that's just kind of stuck, sourdough is readily on the menu at all times, but as the seasons change is when I start to incorporate new recipes, to kind of fit that into, to still fit into that niche and that need to find new things and still challenge myself.
What are some of the recipes that you grew up with that you've now made vegan?
Yeah, so so my background, I am Black, white, and Mexican. Majority of my life, I've had more ties to my Mexican heritage. That's definitely how I grew up in a lot of the food that I grew up eating. So one of the things that I've very much enjoyed making have been tamales.
Yeah.
And pozole. Pozole has been a big one that hasn't, I think probably the past 2 years, Now I've been doing that, and that's been fantastic. So I think those are probably like the top two things I make on a regular basis. I think now we live in such an age where there's so many different alternatives to, vegan food, depending on what type of plant-based, you might be eating, whether you're a junk food vegan or a raw vegan, whatever it is, the world is your oyster. You can find so many different things. And I think that's what I enjoy too. It's a challenge that I love. And everyone that comes into my home knows that the food that they're going to be eating is vegan. My partner was not vegan when we met. They're not vegan now, but they are vegetarian, and they are my biggest critic. And so knowing that the food that I make, they enjoy very much, and then shares or talks about it with other people and tries to have them open their mind is, all part of it too.
That's like the greatest compliment. Like a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
We encourage that.
And your food is so good.
Thank you.
I know you've been sending me little texts like, hey, I'm making this, because I asked you for accountability in my own cooking journey, which it's not a sourdough journey, but it's my own cooking journey that I'm exploring. But I appreciate the little nudges.
Yeah.
That's how you are. You just little nudges, like little hugs through texts and things like that. So is there like a specific person or story or something when someone like buys from you that like sticks in your mind?
I've never thought about that, but as I've, continued to grow and expand from the people that have and continue to purchase from me, one being my coworker, Leah, and she continues to tell me that she restructures her meal plan around my bread.
Wow.
And because it's still very new, so, it's not like established on a website yet, very generic things of how we're going. Of course, I'm only working out of a single oven kitchen, so there's only so much that I can produce, on a regular basis. But for me, that's something that's like huge. Or when they say that they have a picky child and they love what they've brought home, I'm like, that's huge too. Because again, I think there's so many connections to just food, but it's more than that for me. So I think that's probably the two main things that have popped up. But I think like my love for just cooking and doing these things for people and seeing how it makes them happy comes from my Nana and my Grams. That's my great grandma. Those are probably the memories that I have the most with them, who are always in the kitchen. And it wasn't even, big or fancy things, even the most like mundane. Every time I went to my Gram's house, I always knew we were going to have a grilled cheese and like a chocolate milkshake. And like, it's something so simple, but I think those interactions have kind of just stuck with me. And it's what I love, and that's what I enjoy.
Yeah. You're making me hungry. Talking about all these yummy foods, like comfort foods too.
Yeah.
That like soul food that really gets to like the heart of, like, you just want to be sitting in the living room with your grandma, eating something good and just talking. Yep,
absolutely. And that's what brings me joy. And whether it's I'm bringing it to somebody, they're coming into my home, that like host mentality, yes, it can be a lot of work and it can be overwhelming and stressful, but the end result, looking back at it, it's worth it, for me.
How do you create time and space for, sharing what you make with people? Because I know that you have a full-time job doing other things, caring for animals. Yeah, tell us about that balance between like your work life and then doing this.
Yeah, it's a balance for sure. I really have to be structured. I usually try to take one of my days off when it comes from like my own home stuff to really I really have to plan things out. So whether it's meal prepping things or just having I usually like to stock my freezer with things, ready to go, because we are extremely busy, my partner and I. So a lot of times if I can't sit in the kitchen after, a long day at work and make something from start to finish, we at least know we have something that's can be ready and made in 20 minutes or less. That's still healthy and, nutritious and not just, running to the drive-thru or whatever. When it comes to sourdough and baking through Sweet Tea's Test Kitchen, I am also very fortunate enough that I have a job where I can be hybrid. So those days where I am home and I am planning an order, I usually do it throughout my workday. And it requires me to do it throughout my workday. So as I am prepping my doughs, telling you the process of it, it's all math and science there. We have to go through my stretch and folds, like 2 hours of stretch and folds. Like I'm going on a break. I'm like, okay, I have to do my stretch and folds and turn and put it back in the oven, make sure the temperature's right. And then from there, it's about like a 6 to 8 hour process as it's going through its first fermentation, and then, shaping, and then getting them ready to go in the fridge because I also double ferment my doughs, which not everybody goes through that process, but if you know anything about fermentation and just like the good, healthy gut bacteria, the longer you can ferment something, the better it is, and easier for your overall digestion. So I do like to go through that process. So typically for breads, it can take me 2 to 3 days just to do, a single loaf, but usually I'm doing anywhere from 5 to 10 at a time, not including any other baked items. But I do have to be very conscious of my time, and I have a whiteboard in my kitchen and I'm writing everything out as I'm doing it. So it is, yes, I have to be very mindful of the time it's taking to do that.
That's pretty incredible because you're like fitting it in between your other work, but it's so worth it to you to make that space. I can just imagine it must smell really good in your house.
I can't lie, it does.
I'm jealous. So what do you do for your day job? Because I feel like that also says a lot about a person and another area that they care about. So
yeah, and I think they kind of overlap, completely different, but I work for the San Diego Humane Society. So I've always had a love and a passion for animals. I got my degree in zoology at UH. So ended up in a different kind of field of work. I'm definitely more in the animal welfare side, coming from most of my background, which has been in exotic and large animals and field research. So that transition was a little bit different. So I think most people, when they think of like the Humane Society or shelter, they don't always have the best interpretation of like what it is, or always refer to it as like the pound. But if anybody has had or seen, I very much am always in awe of the things our organization does. With the work that we do for both domestic and wildlife, we also have the only and the largest wildlife rehabilitation center in Southern California.
Wow.
So not only are we helping to adopt animals, we have a community pet pantry. So for community members that might having difficulties even with pet food or any type of pet resources, we have that to them, like no questions asked. We can help anybody going through transition for end-of-life services, or what we do see right now, unfortunately, is a higher increase for animal owners to surrender their pets and trying to be non-judgmental, and that can be very difficult, especially when we have such a high volume of animals coming into our care. But being able to have a conversation, with an animal owner and helping them through that difficult transition, and knowing that the decision that they're making, no matter what it may be, is the best for them and for their pet. So though it is a very high stressed job, and it's definitely not for the weak, we do have a lot of high turnover, but we do see that with any animal or social welfare jobs in general, the outcome outweighs, all of that. And I think that's what's kept me here, seeing how those interactions and ultimately the animals in our care, how much effort, time, and love goes into all that. A lot of people don't see the behind the scenes, and I'm fortunate enough where I do. So that definitely keeps me here, keeps me going, helps me continue to try to educate, community members in whatever, gambit that they're going through, or they have questions about. That is something that really drives me, and I think I'll try to remain here for as long as I can, or if life takes me somewhere else. But for now, all of my interactions with community members and even my own team have been great, and I think it all just comes back to having a positive interaction at the end of things, and how I've been able to impact somebody, hopefully in a positive way.
As you're sharing all of this, I keep thinking of Taylor is so empathetic. Everything you do is about sharing love and making people and their animals feel special. So thank you for what you do in your day job and what you do in your free time. Is there anything else that has come up in our conversation that you would like to share?
Again, I'm just so incredibly proud and happy that you're putting this all together. And, I'm excited to see what other people have to say too, because I think there's so much just content out there. And I think we also just live in a time where we have a lot of negative things that are just constantly being thrown at us, and we don't really have a way to unplug from that. And hopefully this can be something that people turn to, and just, hearing about anybody's life and, what makes them happy and what they're passionate about. So I'm so grateful that you opened this up, and I was so excited to participate.
I appreciate you saying yes so much, because this has been on my mind for over a year at this point, and we're here, and you're in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come visit San Diego in a couple months. So thanks for helping me get this jump started, and I hope you have a wonderful Hawaii vacation this week and you can just relax. You don't have to do anything and just be home.
Yeah,
your second
absolutely.
home.
Absolutely.
Well, mahalo nui, Taylor.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.